Oh, now that's what I'm talking about right there. A beautiful cinnamon swirl bread. Howdy folks, welcome back to Texas Cooking Today. On this episode, we're going to be making a cinnamon swirl bread. This is an old world recipe, guys. It predates me and predates my mom. Okay, this goes way back. It's a wonderful recipe. It's delicious. The bread is cinnamony and sweet. The swirl inside is yummy. And when it's toasted up with a little butter, man, it is unbelievable. It's a good recipe. So guys, let's get in the kitchen and get busy baking this up. Come on. All right, guys, there it is. Wonderful ingredients. This is a fun recipe to make. 5 to 6 cups of flour, 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of water. On your other ingredients, you'll have butter. We need 3 tablespoons of butter for this recipe, guys. 3 tablespoons of sugar. 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 5 teaspoons of yeast. But 2 packets of yeast will suffice perfectly for this recipe, okay? It was just my original recipe uses 5 teaspoons, so if you're dishing it from bulk, try it that way. The cinnamon swirl on the inside is going to have a few ingredients also. So I have a stick of butter that's coming to room temperature. I have a ½ cup of sugar here and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And that's going to be worked together in a wonderful way to make the interior swirl of each of our breads. Guys, let's get into making this fabulous tasting bread. Come on. Okay guys, it's time for us to mix everything together here. Now I have out a dish with hot water. That's 1 cup, and this is 1 cup of room temperature milk. I'm going to mix in, and you can use a spoon for this. I'm going to use a whisk. I'm going to mix in my other ingredients. What I want to do is start with this butter, which is kind of warm. I just melted this. And now it's cool enough for me to go ahead and add the other stuff. So there I work in my sugar and my yeast also. Now once I have this mixed up, I can just let it sit aside for a little bit. It'll be just fine, guys. What's happening there is that yeast is waking up. And while it's busy doing its thing, I need to focus on my flour. All right, guys, I think we need to take care of sifting off our flour. What I'm going to do at this point is go ahead. I'm going to put my cinnamon onto this, and I'm going to get my salt on there. I'll work that down. Now what this does is we're doing 2 things. A, we're combining our salt and that cinnamon into our flour. Not well, but we're combining it to it. And the other thing is I'm making sure there's no lumps in the flour. The third thing is I'm making sure that the flour is light and fluffy. Let's get on to mixing this up. All right, guys, we're here with the mixer. I'm going to get all of this liquid down in this bowl right here. There we are. As you can see, just now getting started, and what'll look like an absolute mess, there we go. What's going to look like an absolute mess at first is going to turn into a beautiful, satiny, smooth loaf. Okay guys, there we have it. It didn't take very long. Let me check my dough. It looks like it's coming off of there wonderfully. If you can pull it off of your dough hook like that, then that's a really good sign. See how I'm just turning it under, folding it in on itself? That's perfectly fine. Great way of kneading it. Okay guys, I have here a little bit of all vegetable shortening, and I'm just going to scoop some up in my hand. What I need to do is to grease the bowl I'm going to rise it in, and the pans, I'm going to cook it in. Work it around. It doesn't take a thick coat, guys. A very, very thin coat. My dough goes in this, and I take a bowl and cover it. It has been about an hour and 10 minutes. Like I said, about 1 to 2 hours is what it normally takes on your first rise. If you'll notice, it has more than doubled, so that's what we're looking for, okay? At least doubled or more in bulk. Now what I want to do is I want to do what's called punching it down. And just basically you get to punch in the middle of it, and it's kind of fun, so you might as well enjoy it. And then I'm going to take that and we're going to divide it into 2 halves after we kind of get it into a workable size. So you can always guesstimate how much your cut is going to be, and that's a great way of doing it if you don't have any scales or anything like that. Just go ahead and take your dough knife and work right down through that and split it into 2 fairly equal halves. I don't want it to be any wider than the bottom of my pan, so my maximum width on this whole thing needs to be no more than 8 inches at its widest point, okay? Okay guys, I just need to combine cinnamon and sugar. Now, go ahead. If you'll notice, we had a little butter left over. Not a big deal, we're not going to lose any sleep. And that was all but 2 tablespoons of that butter. Now, my cinnamon topping, just very gently sprinkle over. Okay guys, we have that all ready. Now what I want to do next is just wet those edges. I'm just going to wet my fingers with a little water and rub it down that edge. Now, so you'll know what I'm actually doing here. Remember, we used flour, and flour contains what we call gluten. Gluten is a protein. Proteins are sticky. So what I'm doing is I'm activating that sticky protein along the edge so that as I roll it up, that can then seal that edge down for me. See how I'll pull that over and tuck it in? And do the same on the other side. Just tuck in the inner layers and pull that top down over it and seal it. All I have to do is set these to rise again, okay? And I'm going to do the same I did last time. You saw how big and puffed up it got? It's exactly the way I want these before they go into the oven, okay? Okay guys, we're going to let that rise, and I'm going to cover them to begin with a simple towel. Okay guys, it has now been an hour and 10 minutes. Let's take a look. Oh, check that out. Isn't that beautiful? They've risen right up. They've more than doubled in bulk. So they're almost 3 times the bulk they were originally. Big, beautiful, gorgeous loaves. Now all I have to do is get these little guys right down in the oven. We're going to be cooking them at 375 degrees, and that's going to take 35 to 45 minutes. Well, that just depends. So in the oven they go. Here we are. There we go guys, it's in the oven. 375 degrees. That should take about 35 to 45 minutes, okay? Okay, so there we have it. My timer is set up. I'm just waiting for it to cook. Guys, these just now came out of the oven. You hear that sound? That's what we're looking for. Next thing I need to do is to turn these out. Remember this, you got to be careful. I'm rotating it over. I'm not lifting the loaf, I'm lifting the pan, and I'm rotating the loaf right back onto the, there we go, that wire rack. Okay guys, all I have to do is wait for those to finish cooling off. And frankly, my beautiful cinnamon swirl loaves are ready to go. Now how's that for a bread making lesson? Oh, there it is guys, cinnamon swirl bread. Big, beautiful, beautiful loaves of bread, guys. Let's slice it open and take a look. Okay, I want to get deep into the loaf here so we can see right into the heart of things. And I'm going to cut a slice so I can enjoy it. But before I grab my slice, let's take a look. Look how it rose up. Look how open and fluffy it is. Beautiful, guys. Exactly what I was hoping for. Beautiful cinnamon swirl loaf. And there's nothing, like I said, nothing that's quite like this. You can take it, toast it up. That beautiful tender crust that's browned. Lovely. The sweetness from all that sugar. Both the sugar in the dough itself, as well as in that beautiful swirl. The flavors, just banging good, guys. I'm going to be enjoying this, every bit of it. It's just so delicious. Wait till you try it. I tell you what, thank you so much for watching Texas Cooking today, guys. Thank you for watching this episode. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'm going to have great recipes coming out weekly. All right, so just get ready for it. Good recipes, the great techniques that come with them. And if you would, please click the like button. I do appreciate that. I love it when I get comments. If you have a question, I'll do my best to answer you. So guys, if you would, just drop me a message or a question down below. And one last thing, if you would, please just have a happy day. Bye-bye.